Hello, everyone. This is your host, Akil Jabbar, and welcome back to another episode of SaaS District. In today's episode, we'll be talking about how to build an effective go-to-market and partnership program for your SaaS to help you scale. Today, we have our guest, Barrett King, joining us. Barrett is the Senior Director of Revenue at NewBreed, who is a HubSpot's top solution partner, and they're on a mission to help unlock meaningful growth for all the people that they work with and clients that they work with, which we'll talk about today. He's a highly motivated leader with over a decade of experience in building partnerships and executing go-to-market strategies for SaaS companies. And his expertise really includes in creating and implementing sales and marketing plans for overall improving your customer engagement and retention. So welcome, Barrett, man. I know you have a lot more to share, but welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Killer intro. I feel like I wrote that, but that was really well said. And I'm obviously grateful for the opportunity. I'm glad to have a conversation. This is stuff I love. So this will be fun.
Hopefully I said it better than you did, and I did a good job. So,
Nailed it.
No, thanks. So tell me a little bit more. What NewBreed? Before we get started, tell us what do you guys do? What's your background? And you have a very interesting background. I'd love to share so our audience understands where you're coming from.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, so like you started to say, we really look to unlock meaningful growth for our customers. What we focus on as HubSpot's North American top partner, and we've been actually in the ecosystem the longest. We're one of the original partners. Is working in tandem with the HubSpot solution to help our customers grow more effectively. We do everything from simple website work in terms of copy development and social media and other sort of demand gen based services, all the way through to really complex architecture and design around more advanced components like connecting different platforms and driving the lift across your tech stack that you're looking for. So think of us as a multidimensional technology solutions partner that's able to lean and flex into high-end web and demand gen services, and then the other direction, more technical and skew into the CRM-focused platform work as well. So we try and spread the gambit, hyper-focused and capable in verticals like SaaS, manufacturing, healthcare, technology, pro services, a lot of the businesses that benefit from those types of services across the platform. We have been fortunate, as I described before, to be a part of this ecosystem from the beginning and watch the evolution of the way that HubSpot went to market, inbound grew, and you and I can certainly talk about that, and more specifically, how our business evolved to help our customers. So I'm Senior Director of Revenue. I get the really fortunate opportunity to work with an incredible group of people, advisors that help companies. And so I get to be on the front lines one day and work on go-to-market strategy the next, provide insight and feedback, and certainly help those customers wherever we can.
And it's interesting. So you've been working alongside HubSpot over time, who are leading edge in the marketing world. And you talked a little bit before the show where inbound was kind of the way to lead and the way as the example of marketing over the last few years. And where's this kind of shifting, or where do you see it kind of shifting in 2024?
It's a good question. So prior to being at NewBreed in this role, I was at HubSpot for 8.5 years. And even before that, I was in startups. I've always enjoyed sales, enjoyed customer-focused roles. And I think what HubSpot did over the last 15, 20 years, it's actually 18, I think, years now, 19 years of their business cycle, is something really interesting and unique. And it's that they were able to define a category in a way that separated them from competition. They identified early on that the old school way of marketing and selling, I describe it as like the bullhorn, like the guy or gal at the fair who's standing on the box yelling, like, come get your popcorn. That was marketing and sales for the longest of times. And people would go, past a billboard, hear an ad on the radio, see something on TV. They'd go to a brick and mortar location. They work with a salesperson whose job was to convince them that this was the right solution, the right fridge or the right printer or whatever it was for them. And then they'd leave with that product or that service, having been secured. With the internet, obviously, in the way that evolved very quickly to connect people, marketing had to change. And so HubSpot was on the cutting edge, coming out of MIT's incubator with this idea that inbound was the way, which meant you would put out the content. Instead of standing on the box at the fair and yelling, you'd put out a sample of your popcorn. In that fun example, someone would try it and say, this is good popcorn. I need some popcorn. And they'd come to your stand and buy more. Inbound was great because it allowed brands to go and not just be thought leaders, but provide value before the customer actually knew they had to make a decision. This concept of awareness and consideration before decision was really innovative because content now became a tool, a solution to educate your buyer before they were a customer, which is fascinating. And there was a whole 15 years or so where that was the thing that you did. Now you fast forward to today, because again, technology is accelerating again. You've got AI increasing the way and changing the way, frankly, the content is produced. You've got technology outside the scope of that with, we're recording this in February of 2024. Zuckerberg just came out with the new augmented reality headset. Like there's just really interesting tools that are coming to market, which means now the attention of the buyer is changing even more and it's evolving for how we interact with brands. I have a bet that I'm willing to make. I'm going to speculate this. And we're recording, so it's to live on in the ether, right? I think you'll always see traditional marketing and sales will be present in the market because people will just inherently want that experience. You will always see inbound as table stakes. You need to create content, educate your buyer, et cetera. I think what you're seeing now is this evolution into pushing away from that as the core buying process. You see ecosystem-based purchases. You see network-based and community-based purchases because people are trusting of each other. Call it the age of disinformation, the age of AI, call it what you want. I think the evolution, I believe this actually, I shouldn't say I think, I believe the evolution will become hyper-personal. So buyers will buy from people they trust, which they've always done, but brands now will be the individual, which is why you see on LinkedIn, CEOs and heads of sales and COOs and everybody else starting to build thought leadership. It's because they want to be that inbound mechanism and that support system for their customer. That's going to happen in a hyper-personalized way. And then, we can always talk about how technology will scale that, but ultimately it's about personalized, very connected experiences and then building communities around this to elevate your brand's voice in the market.
It's interesting with that shift. I think about, a lot of CEOs are now moving towards that route where, very, very product focused in their business and promoting within, but they haven't thought of, now communicating that to public and building their own public figure. But interesting now, with individuals within teams now creating that figure and opportunity, there's the value of that because, for example, HubSpot would be investing in their company, but if they move to another company, now that value goes with them, right? So I think that it's kind of a interesting problem to think about, down the line of how that affects them, right?
It democratizes the brand itself, I think, in some ways, which actually I hadn't really thought about that out loud, but I'm going to say it because all of a sudden now the work that you do as a marketer, as a CS lead, a salesperson is more than just the four walls, button clicking, mouse moving that you're required to do, right? So your opportunity becomes, how do I take the things that I'm learning? And I think in many ways, build on the core skill set you have to take the brand that you are already aligned to and elevate that reach, but make it your own, like really personalize. I work at HubSpot. Actually, I did this, frankly. My story quickly is when I was at HubSpot, I'd been there for years. I was fortunate to have been in a position where I had exposure to a lot of the teams. So I knew thousands of employees by the time I was ready to go. But what I realized about a year and a half, 2 years before that was I had great HubSpot brand. Actually, one of my mentors said this to me, you have great HubSpot brand. What's your market brand? And I remember being like, oh, darn, I never thought about that really. I just never, dawned on me. And she said, look, you can go and get another job after this. You've got great, logo recognition with HubSpot. Great. But what if you could control a bit more of that narrative by building your own brand beyond it? And I wanted to go and learn more about partner go-to-market for my own benefit. That was my role at HubSpot at the time. So I went out, looked for folks that were talking about it, didn't see it happening, said, well, I'll go do it and I'll capture it. So I have my own podcast talking to partnership leaders that have a story to tell about how they've delivered actionable outcomes in their teams. And it's a little niche and it works and it's helpful. And I love the conversations I have because I learn every time, but it's afforded me an opportunity to grow a really, frankly, significantly larger bandwidth in terms of my brand that I never thought about. I never considered that. And what I've been fortunate to do is now at New Breed, I can share that story with our customers and help them think about how do they empower their teams to elevate way beyond the four walls of their actual business.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. And that's kind of where, if you move with you, wherever you move, I guess that brand, goes with you. So glad that you were able to do that a long time ago. Yeah. I guess, moving towards partnerships and go-to-market strategies, in 2024, what are you saying? How are you building an effective go-to-market strategy? I know you talk about the 3 pillars. Maybe you can chat a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, I think it needs to be all-encompassing, right? So table stakes is still marketing, demand gen, inbound marketing and content marketing are not going to change. You got to get people to be aware of you. I think of that as just like making folks, known that you've got this solution for them. I think your salespeople will need to be much more personal, as I described before. You need to lean into the idea that they are your brand, not just in terms of selling. I'm doing bunny ears, but like, their ability to speak eloquently and provide feedback. You need to be more consultative. You need to be more helpful and deliberate in that go-to-market. because buyers now have more choices than ever and the noise is incredibly loud. I can't tell you how much outreach I get on LinkedIn. It's like in the tens of messages a day sometimes on like stuff that I just, even actually, frankly, the other day I opened up a headcount for a manager on my team and I posted, actually it's about 24 hours ago now. And in 24 hours, I garnered 18,000 impressions on one post. And I'm shocked by it, candidly, still. Yeah. Because what I did, it was Fiverr specific. It was very, tailored. So what you're going to see is salespeople and folks that are on the front line, CS and, customer-centric roles have more reach than ever. If I'm a brand, I should lean into that. My go-to-market strategy should be about empowering the individuals across my brand to leverage their own networks, which leads me to my third pillar, if you will, my third component. And that's the idea that partnerships and ecosystems and really community-led growth are certainly the future of tomorrow. If you look at like Jay McBain over at Canalys, who's talked about this for a while now, this is about 6 months ago, saying this is the decade of ecosystem, the decade of this opportunity. Brands that recognize that their customers trust their partners more than they trust their brand are the smartest, because they start to recognize that if they build value for those partners, help those partners deliver value to their customer, it's reciprocated and they actually grow their customer opportunities. So, I'll keep it short here for our conversation's sake, but I think if you are a B2B leader, manufacturer, technology, anything that's looking to work in that capacity right now, you should be listening to your customers because they're working with other brands, other companies, and likely one or many of those brands or companies are delivering value on top of what you do or in concert with what you do. Those are your partners to go work with and go to market more effectively together.
So I want to dig a little bit deeper on the partnership side. Sure. But before we do that, I'd love to dig on your, the analogy we were talking about earlier, which was, with the popcorn analogy. Do you have one for, kind of the shift we're moving with? Now you're no longer, leaving the samples. What does that look like? When you're building
definitely. Because I think you are, right? So I think like the person is still standing on the box at the fair and they're yelling through the megaphone, popcorn, get your popcorn. You still then have popcorn placed strategically around the fair that says like, take a sample, here's 3 bites. And then this is where our booth is located. And then what you've done is you've gone to like the person that owns the hot dog cart and the person that owns the fried dough cart and the person that owns the really popular game that's by the entrance on the south side. Like you've gone to these other vendors that are ancillary, perhaps. They don't directly compete with you, right? Like the person that buys a hot dog is not going to choose between hot dog or popcorn, perhaps, in that example. Right. And you say, look, like for every 5 hot dogs you sell, I'll offer you 3 free popcorns to give out. Or for every 5 people that you drive to my business, I'll reciprocate with a portion of those revenues. But it's about rising tides. If everyone helps each other, then you all benefit and you all win. So my 2 cents, I think, more specifically into your point around this analogy is, if you're at the fair and you're the popcorn vendor and you want to sell all the popcorn you have that day, then you have 3 things. You got to yell about it through the megaphone right in the middle of the fair. You got to leave ways for folks to find you by having the popcorn trail around the businesses and around the, the games and whatnot. And then you got to look for those folks. Prime example is probably the game where you squirt the water in the receptacle and the horse races it from left to right. Like everyone loves that game. Well, wouldn't it be great if there were little baskets of popcorn in front of you so you could squirt the water, race your horse, and eat popcorn while you go? That's an anchor point for your brand. That's a partnership with another vendor that can drive more business back. And that vendor is a thought leader in the game space. So now they can say, well, we're attracting a clientele. We have a differentiated value. We have popcorn at our station. And we can talk about why that popcorn is the best one you're going to get throughout the entire fair.
Yeah, that's kind of like the natural way to do, most businesses, partnerships, right? That's the way we grow. But in, when it comes back to B2B SaaS, how do we actually implement that, right? What you kind of referred to is almost like an affiliate model where you can go and partner with other folks. You give them a percentage, they promote you, and you give them some kind of, compensation for selling through them. And then there's, also like integration partners. Is there other, really more effective partnership programs you could speak about that have worked well, or do you think we could, we're moving towards?
It's situational. It depends on the brand. It depends on the location. It depends on the market opportunity. I always say, like when folks say to me, well, how do I start a partner program? I get really simple and I go, cool. Best way to do this is go survey your top 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 customers, whatever that number is. Like get a nice group and ask them who else and what else they use around your solution, whatever that is. Like if you're HubSpot's a great example. We can use that because everyone knows their case study. Like HubSpot was smart enough to recognize, Pete Caputa, actually, shout out to Pete. Pete recognized that some of the most successful customers at HubSpot were working with marketing agencies to do the marketing that HubSpot helped them do better. Like it's a really nice little hop, skip, and jump, right? And so he went to those, and I'm abbreviating, but he went to those agencies and he said, hey, you guys are doing the email marketing, you're doing the blog writing, you're doing the content development for our customers. Do you want to build a partnership here? And what HubSpot did is they brought these agencies into a partner program, bunny ears again, in which they said, we'll give you 20% rev share. Yes, there's a benefit there, but it doesn't help them do anything other than perhaps keep the lights on. But we're going to help you go to market more effectively. They co-marketed, they co-sold, they coached these agencies on how to build really effective packaging. And they essentially enabled these partners who were traditional marketing, traditional social media, and more traditional agencies in that sense to build a business model that they could attach to their existing go-to-market strategy that was scalable, it was repeatable, it was predictable. And all of this is to say that HubSpot now had a stickier customer that used their software more deeply, bought more tools, and then over the long tail, actually elevated HubSpot's brand in the market. So proximity is the advice that I give any B2B leader who's saying, whether they are manufacturing, technology, SaaS, it doesn't matter, whatever you're doing, look at the businesses that are around your customer that you have like interests with and have that conversation. It doesn't have to be rev share. It doesn't have to be anything formal. It's just how do we help each other, help our mutual customer get more value from both of our businesses?
All right, I will say it's like, if you're making money, I'm making money. And nothing, it's like if we help you succeed, I succeed, right? And I think that's kind of always 100%. The best kind of mental framework to create that. Love it. So AI tools, we talked a little about that. I would love to chat a bit. Where is this space going, right? Where so many things happening, things are changing every month. Is part of your process, are you guys currently using it? And then for folks who are maybe looking to implement it in their sales or go-to-market strategy, what are you suggesting to them to be effective here and be on top of it?
I think AI is going to be one of the disruptors of our generation, particularly because it is a bit Wild West, and it will take probably 5 to 7 years before it starts to really frame out into maybe 10 years into like what it will become. If you look at AI right now, it is this sort of moldable, dynamic solution because it shows up in everything, right? Everyone talks about AI, that no one's really nailed down what it does. Like, what is the true benefit? There's faster content production. There's differentiated value for, like, I think I was at a podcast a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, and someone said, how does AI impact agency? And I said, before I worked at one, super simple. What if AI could capture your agency's voice and allow you to scale it more effectively? Like, what if instead of saying to your customers, we're going to have AI write all your content, what if it could just be who you are in its own isolated instance of a CRM, in an instance of whatever platform you integrate it with, and it effectively allowed your team to deliver more value, quickly? What if, like, we use because I exist in this dynamic now, the HubSpot use case, like, what if New Breed could capture all of our expertise around our RevOps strategists and our marketing ops strategists and our content and demand gen folks, and we could say, like, now all the baseline work that takes you, 20 minutes a day or 4 hours a day or whatever it is, you push a button and that's done. AI is that for the next 5 to 10 years. I don't think AI replaces people. I actually think there's a lot of hoopla about that. I don't believe it. I think AI augments talent. So what I'm fascinated by is how these tools can help the everyday person and the expert and everyone in between become 10% better, 15% better, 20% better in delivering value. The other thing you're going to see is it's going to increase the speed of commerce. I think people will buy and transact in a totally different environment over the next 3 to 5 years. We can talk about and joke about like sentient AI. It's going to happen. We can talk about, robotics and how you combine the two. we talked about this before we hit record, but I've got a 5.5-year-old. I fully believe that by the time I'm 39, my age, if he'd like to have a family, he'll have a home, but he will likely have objects in his world that he interacts with that are at or above the intelligence level of a, call it 30 or 40-year-old human being, and that are augmenting the way that he lives his life. So if you take that and you deliver it back into like the B2B space, into go-to-market, you got to be conscious of the fact like these things are accelerating. People are able to go to ChatGPT and write an entire term paper in 20 minutes, right? Like you can go and I was helping somebody. It's a good story. I was helping somebody a couple months ago. They were trying to rewrite their LinkedIn, and they're like, I really suck at writing. It's like, that's totally fair as a sales leader. And he was like, yeah, I really don't like this stuff. And I was like, well, what are you using to do it? And he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, are you not using ChatGPT? And he said, no, I hadn't thought about that. And I'm like, let me show you. And we pull it up. We wrote his about section. We wrote the descriptions of his jobs. We tailored it, to his specific experience. And now in a matter of like, I think we spent 20 minutes, we had this well-articulated, very clear, concise LinkedIn profile. And he was like, oh my gosh, like I never thought about this. And I said, this is the application of technologies like that, wherein you're going to see agencies like ours be on the forefront of technology. We're empowering our people with it. They're becoming more effective at delivering their already exceptional value. So customers get more, speed of delivery where applicable. They get additive time with somebody who's not now doing an hour of admin, for example, on their account a month, because that hour of admin has now been mechanized by some sort of a solution like this. And so I think it really becomes this boost, this kind of lift to now say, like, if we go back to the popcorn analogy, now your popcorn machine can produce exactly at the speed at which your consumers buy and eat your product. There's little to no waste. Right now, it can help you to deliver a more refined product because it's now able to go and help you to, really analyze the type of ingredients you have and make sure that they are organic and source them from the right places and deliver all of that to your machine that now optimizes for your buyer. And so, I think it's really exciting to look at the way that this becomes a part of our go-to-market. Going back to our last statement, and I'll land the plane here, but that your people are your brand now. So if you're not thinking about how I use these technologies to help them elevate, lift, and really streamline their own brands, I mean, that to me is the biggest opportunity with AI right now.
That's interesting if you look at it that perspective of looking at your employees as brands, and then when it comes to hiring decisions, now that becomes a huge part of it, right? It's no longer your resume, your LinkedIn profile. It's like you got to bring your whole brand with you, otherwise it's
right.
And that's how you stand out. But unfortunately, it's all, digital is the way, and it is. Yeah. AI kind of the different kind of applications that you've seen. Are you seeing anything on kind of the HubSpot side of like where they're kind of headed, or any of the partnership solutions that you guys are thinking about for building for your specific for B2B SaaS companies?
Yeah, I mean, I think from a partner, like a solutions partner perspective, we're obviously eager to see HubSpot integrate more AI in the platform. And because I was an employee, I can't speak about specifically what they are doing recently, but what I will offer is that there's some really very intelligent folks that are thinking about how to bring it more across the platform. And you see it, like even in last Inbound, they talked about, being able to generate a website and website content and copy and things very quickly because they've been able to bring in components of AI. It wouldn't surprise me if in 24 months, much more of their like sequences tool and their video solutions and things that are already tailored to the AI space are more well integrated with those platforms. I could see a world in which, hyper personalized, as we described in terms of brand, becomes the go-to strategy around how technologies like HubSpot help their customers. So like imagine a world where, you're an early stage startup, you're 20 people, you got a minimal budget, you can spend $500 a month. You go to a company like HubSpot, you hook up a domain, you say, here's what I want my website to talk about, here's who we are. Maybe you feed in a PDF or some sketches into the AI itself. Maybe you choose from some like brands, or you look at like color palettes and layouts, and you sort of, in a matter of maybe say 20 minutes, it builds you a website.
Right.
20 minutes. You have a live website that's SEO optimized. It's got content and copy on it that educates on your brand. It's streamlined from an SEO perspective. It's ready to go. And then they use their AI to match you to the right solutions partner that is verticalized in your space, that has a go-to-market, in a box that's ready to go, and they connect you. So now 25 or 30 minutes into your business relationship with them, you've got value because you have a website, and now you're working with an expert in the industry. That conversion now takes place on my website, right? newbreedrevenue.com. And we've got a bot that consumes all your information on your website really quick, streamlines some early analysis. And that bot then says, cool, advisor, I'll just use my own name, Barrett. Here's an analysis of that customer's website, potential customer's website. Here's some early observations in terms of where we can help from a go-to-market perspective. It pulls from your case studies. It pulls from all of your valuable insights. And it books that first call for you. And now your advisor shows up 24 hours later, informed, ready to deliver value and help that customer. And over the next 2 weeks now, using our own technology, wherein we've got the accelerated ability for these tools to help our customers interact with our company, get really down to brass tacks on how we can streamline the way that we, go to market together. And in 2 weeks now, they can sign up for a couple $1,000s a month retainer with us that allows them to predictably and effectively grow over the next 24 months. Like that ripple effect would be not just that company, but it would change PEVC. It would change the way that companies are built and developed. And so I'm excited about the innovation side of this and how we could mechanize these solutions in the ecosystem like I'm describing, wherein HubSpot starts to accelerate their value. We start to deliver value accelerated through those tools. And now customers and companies can accelerate their own growth and be more effective in delivering their solution. That gets super interesting really quick.
Yeah, it seems like you're able to do a lot more research and gather a lot more information and be super hyper personalized experience. I think this is what people are looking for. And I think is if people are listening in and looking to build out their solution, that's kind of the way I think a lot of the big brands are moving. So appreciate you sharing that. Love it. Yeah. Love it, Garrett. I'd love to move towards the second part of the podcast, which is more about the rapid fire personal questions. So you're ready for that?
I'm ready. I'm hanging on my seat. I'm ready.
All right. So I know you got a kid, you got a family, but what's one activity you enjoy outside of work that gets you into a flow state?
Something typically that involves solo fitness. So like I like to mountain bike. I like to work out just like in my own gym. We have a pretty good park near here. So like I'll go for runs. I like things that are single focus. I ski, I snowboard. I do a bunch of things like that in my personal life because I'm so team-based professionally. I really hone in on like individualized things like that, or art. Like I'll just like grab some of my kids' paint and sit for 20 minutes. I haven't in a while, but with some music and just flow like that. It's a good experience.
Painting with your kid, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah. Barrett, what's one piece of advice you wish you had known? If you can go back and say you would tell your 25-year-old self. That's almost 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's been a while. Money's a tool. I think people, I wish I knew that earlier in my career. Like I have been fortunate to be at companies where I was able to learn incredible skills. And I think the way that I approached my career was perhaps atypical. But what I would offer, even before the idea that money is a tool, is like jobs are an opportunity to develop skills that then you can build upon and market from. We always talked about, like, again, I'm 39. My generation is the parents who said, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Shit, I'm almost 40. I don't know what I want to be tomorrow. Like, I'm just enjoying what I get to do every day and helping people. So I'd say like, take it a little bit less serious, focus on the skills and the breadth, the width, if you will, of the work itself. So you can gain, more knowledge, and remember that money is a tool so that you can provide opportunities for others and a platform for your family to be healthy, happy, and safe.
Love it. What are some of the biggest challenges you're currently facing in order to continue to grow New Breed, or meaning what keeps you up at night these days other than your 5-year-old?
Yeah, he does plenty of that. I think it's really simple. Like, scaling a company is hard. Like, there's nothing about this that's easy, because you have to remember it's people first, and we really, really focus on making our people successful and helping them to grow, which takes time. Like, frankly, I would love it if I could duplicate myself 2 or 3x, and maybe AI will help me do that someday, because I think there's a lot that I have to offer, but that's selfish. Like, what I would love to do is find somebody who's like-minded, that wants to help others, and bring them into, actually I just posted on LinkedIn, like we were talking about earlier, bring in a manager that works with me, bring in folks that want to help. I think business is going through an evolution in that it is really about people helping people again, and trying to find the best way to do that without it feeling disingenuous. I'm eager to say that, I'm open to saying rather that we are eager to do that for more people. Building a mechanism that allows us to do that in a very scalable way, i.e. like disconnect growth from headcount a little bit, is really interesting to me too as a problem. And then lastly, it's a little bit of like the keeping up with the Kardashians kind of stuff. Like, media is moving so fast right now, and we are surrounded as a population globally by so much noise, that being authentic in all of that is more important than ever. And so reminding ourselves who we are and staying true to that is one of our core values. And I think it's less of a challenge and more of an opportunity for us to double down on who are we as new breeders, and what are we to our customers, and how do we deliver value over and over again as we grow.
Love it. Love the name New Breeder, because I think when it comes to authenticity, it's if you're not authentic, the other person won't be. So it kind of breeds on each other, right?
Yeah,
You gotta
exactly.
start from you. Yeah. Who would you say are some of the best 3 resources? It can be books, mentors, or people you follow in the space who you say have been most instrumental to your success over these last few years.
Shout out to Dan Tyre, longtime HubSpotter. He's not there anymore. He recently retired, but he is the most helpful human being on the face of the earth. He's smart, he's caring, he's genuine. He's just a very authentic human being. I want to give him credit. I am very fortunate to work with our SVP of Revenue, Jonathan Berg. I want to give him a shout out, not because I work for him, but frankly, because he's a big reason I wanted to work here. He is intelligent and committed to the people and the problems that we're trying to solve for. And I learned a lot about go-to-market, certainly from him, but I've learned a lot about, how to invest in the team and in our customers alike and do it with like genuine heart and care. I would have offered years ago, like the leaders of HubSpot, Brian Halligan and Dharmesh Shah, were just really exceptional in terms of the way that they thought about building culture and building for scale and helping to build a company of people that were not just smart, but capable and invested. And I'd probably round out with like someone like, maybe Mark Robert. She's a VC now over at Stage 2 Capital. But, Mark helped me understand how companies operate, because it's really easy to read a book and like get an operating model. It's different to understand that it's actually about the dynamics between math and, so call it like the science and the art, if you will, of growing businesses. And he's really done a great job of helping me to learn that. I could go on. There are countless people that I attribute my success to. Kara Potter, who taught me the value of how to think about training and developing and transferring knowledge. Andrew Quinn, who was early HubSpot, who really impacted me. Even like Matt Grace, who is the CTO of a startup I was a part of like 15 years ago, impacted the way that I think about product and how I think about strategy and bringing product and CS together. So I'm fortunate to have a lot of those people in my life. And my advice to anybody who's thinking about that is look at the people that you admire, but don't look at people that are 20 years ahead of you. Look at folks that are 3 to 5 to 10 years ahead of you in their career. Go and follow them on LinkedIn, ask them for a 15-minute coffee chat, offer to buy them a Starbucks. It costs you $8 or whatever, virtual, like send them a virtual gift card for $10 from Starbucks and spend time with these people because they want to help you. That's how I've been fortunate to develop a lot of these folks in my career.
Yeah, so we always forget, right, that people who are doing well and busy with their lives as they're growing and focused on something else, they actually do want to help. I mean, most people do want to help once they get there. So we just have to be cautious to ask. So I love it. Barrett, last question. What does success mean to you today, whether it's personally, business, financial, life? There's no right answer.
I think it's actually, my right answer is that it's about blend. I used to believe in work-life balance. People always talk about that. Balance implies equality always. It's not. There are days that I work more than I would want to. There are days I perhaps work less than I should, because what I'm trying to do is put my family first. I mentioned Dan Tyre as a mentor and somebody I look up to. He helped me on a business trip years ago develop a mechanism of a comfortability around having a mantra. He believes in mantras, right? And so I've got it. It's family, freedom, and fulfillment. The ability to provide for and prioritize my family, the freedom to do good work the way that I see fit without being put in a box, and fulfillment. I got to care about what I do every day. I got to really embrace that. That's the way that I think about framing out, my time spent every day. And so perhaps that's my, version of a right answer.
Love it, man. That was great. Where's the best place, Garrett? This has been a fantastic podcast. Love everything you share. I think this is awesome. People will enjoy this. Where's the best place to get in touch with you, learn more about you, or reach out?
I appreciate that. Yeah, LinkedIn is my go-to. I'm not on Twitter or Facebook anymore, any of that. LinkedIn, because I talk about my podcast. I try and help people wherever I can. I'm very fortunate to have a fairly good sized network these days, and I'm always glad to add to it. If anyone wants to add me, DM me. I'm happy to spend a couple minutes with anyone and offer feedback or help. I didn't have a lot of support coming up until the last maybe 5 or 7 years of my career. I've been fortunate to. And so I love to provide, I call it, 3 and 30, like 3 things in 30 minutes to help somebody else is how I approach that. So LinkedIn first, and then I've got my show Outcomes on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Glad to have you check that out too.
Awesome. Appreciate that. We'll put that in the show notes. You guys can check it out. Make sure to connect with Barrett on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Great
Cheers.
chatting. Cheers. Thank you all for watching this episode and joining SaaS District today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for future episodes where we interview top leaders in the SaaS industry. If you're a SaaS company looking to grow and unlock the true value of your business, get in touch with us at Horizon Capital and myself or one of our consultants will provide a free assessment to help you get there and hit your goals. If you have any feedback or suggestions for this podcast, please comment down below and help us improve our content for you all. Thanks again and see you on the next one.